Orion is the symbol for Nimrod, Osiris, Hindu Varuna, and the Greek Ouranos. Osiris and Nimrod, both were the prototypes of the grand original. Nimrod was simply venerated in various cultures under different names: Osiris, Tammuz, Wotan, Viracocha, Quetzalcoatl, Varuna. All were priest kings who taught mankind the ancient mysteries with the supernatural powers. All are expected to return to Earth to revive the ancient pre-flood mysteries and culture. Osiris is believed to have traveled around the globe, bringing civilization to many nations. He was tall, of pale complexion, bearded and dressed in a long white robe. Osiris, who ruled over the first time, was able to walk over the oceans and traveled around the globe, bringing civilization to many nations. Quetzalcoatl. As a celibate demigod, Quetzalcoatl invented the Mayan and Aztec calendar and bequeathed the secret doctrine to his priests, who were also celibate. Quetzalcoatl was driven away on a serpent boat by his evil twin, Tezcatlipoca, the Black Twin, but is expected to return from the east, where he spread his knowledge of science and the arts, to reclaim his power among the Mesoamerican people. A book titled The Return of the Serpents of Wisdom, by Mark Amaru Pinkham, claims that the various supreme deities were all indigenous and gods. According to ancient records, the patriarchs and founders of the early civilizations in Egypt, India, China, Peru, Mesopotamia, Britain, and the Americas were the serpents of wisdom, spiritual masters associated with the serpent, who arrived in these lands after abandoning their beloved homelands and crossing great seas. While bearing names denoting snake or dragon, such as Naga, Lung, Djedhi, Amaru, Quetzalcoatl, Ada, these serpents of wisdom oversaw the construction of magnificent civilizations within which they and their descendants served as the priest kings and as the enlightened heads of mystery school traditions. In The Two Babylons, Alexander Hislop explains lamentation for Osiris, Tammuz, Nimrod. The death of this messiah, known in other cultures as Tammuz, Nimrod, Wotan, Viracocha, Quetzalcoatl, and Varuna, meant the dissolution of the global religious system established by this demigod. Because God put an end to Nimrod's unity in diversity experiment, he is forever labeled as the scorpion in the zodiac. The name of a scorpion in Chaldee is Akrab, but Akrab, thus divided, signifies the great oppressor, and this is the hidden meaning of the scorpion as represented in the zodiac. That sign typifies him who cut off the Babylonian god, and suppressed the system he set up. It was while the sun was in Scorpio that Osiris in Egypt disappeared, and great lamentations were made for his disappearance. In consequence of a conflict with a scorpion that Orion was added to the stars, so it was when the scorpion was in the ascendant that Osiris disappeared. In Fingerprints of the Gods, Graham Hancock draws attention to the fact that the Giza Plateau and Nile River were representations of Orion and the Milky Way. It seems that, after the flood and their expulsion from the earth, the Nephilim left the Sphinx, pyramids and Nile River as markers indicating their whereabouts in the heavens. As the three pyramids of Giza correspond to the belt stars of Orion, there are also three pyramids in Mexico which correspond to the Giza pyramids. This design would give credence to speculation that Osiris and Quetzalcoatl were the same god, whose soul is claimed to now reside in Orion. Osiris means place of the eye, his place is in Orion. When the sun passes directly over Orion at high noon, the Stargate opens, through which Osiris and the pharaohs ascended to the heavens. This is the meaning of the all-seeing eye in the capstone of the pyramid on the dollar bill. Pyramids were the Stargate to effect the transmutation of the soul of the dead pharaoh into the essence of light to enable its assimilation to Osiris in his heavenly abode of Orion. Having traversed the planetary spheres, before the ascending soul could get back to God, it had to pass through the sphere of the fixed stars, known today as the celestial sphere. This represents the higher heaven and lies beyond the jurisdiction of our local solar system with its governors the sun, moon and planets. To get to this higher heaven, which could in any case only be approached if it had successfully passed through the spheres of the lower, the soul had to find its way to a gate. According to the ancient cosmology, there were two of these, one was in the northern hemisphere and the other was in the southern. These stargates were positioned at the points in the sky where the ecliptic, the pathway of the sun, crosses the Milky Way. Therefore one of these positions was in Sagittarius, above the sting of Scorpio, and the other was in Gemini, above the outstretched arm or club of Orion. Stargate opened in the year 2000, in the age of Aries the gates of the sun were Capricorn and Cancer, but, due to the precession of the equinoxes, those gates, whereby souls descend and ascend to heaven, they say, are now, in the age of Pisces, Gemini, and Sagittarius. In other words, the constellations of Gemini and Sagittarius are on the point where the ecliptic path of the sun intersects with the Milky Way, the galactic stellar womb. In Hermetic doctrine, the Orion factor determines when the Stargate opens. According to Adrian Gilbert and Graham Hancock, the Stargate opened in the year 2000 with the sun at the stargates at the solstices, the northern Stargate being Orion. This event has not happened since the first time some 12,880 years ago. The northern Stargate over the upstretched hand of Orion is exactly at the cusp of Gemini and Taurus, the southern Stargate is at the cusp of Sagittarius and Scorpio. Today the sun stands exactly between Sagittarius and Scorpio at the winter solstice, and over the hand of Orion at the time of the summer solstice. In other words, the positions of the stargates correspond with the sun's positions at the solstices. This is the first time this has happened since circa 2010, 880 BC, when the gates were in the opposite positions, with the Orion gate in the south and the Scorpio gate in the north. This latter date, 10,880 BC, corresponds closely with the ending of the last ice age and the legendary destruction of Atlantis.